Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians. And here is a continuation of that job application process that I talked about the other time. And this time we're talking about specifically about job interviews and mindset around job interviews. And I feel like that's where a lot of the problems start happening in terms of how we approach it. And therefore, we don't really often get the results we want to. And then we get frustrated why it is and how it is. And then we feel like all of our beliefs are confirmed in terms of, oh, they just had their own people. The system's unfair. And maybe sometimes that is the case, but it still does not allow us to really study and understand why the previous interview was not successful, right? So this is what I have been discussing with some of my clients, and here is the mindset that I see. Therefore, I'm going to talk about the current way of many people do, and then I want to offer you an alternative way to think about and shift your mindset to that alternative way if you think that will be beneficial for you to be successful in the job interviews. And especially nowadays that we keep thinking about a lot of competition, so therefore it's worth taking your time to think about what is your current mindset about it. And if you're not getting the results you want, then how can you shift it to the mindset that will get you the results you want? So here is the overview of mindsets that I see, like that I would categorize roughly. And of course, this is a very subjective category, but this is what I keep seeing from my clients, humanitarian clients who are in the job interview process, right? So either we're having this mindset during the interview or as we're coming close to the interview of I need them mindset, and that energy that comes out of I'm needing them more than they needing me. Then there is the mindset of they need me, which makes us feel like we're being arrogant. And then the mindset that I suggest you explore more is I want or need them, whichever feels good to you, as much as they need me or want me. Now, let's dive into two of these mindsets, and the one in the middle I will not even try like spend time on it because I don't think any of us wanting to come across as arrogant in the interview because we know it's not going to work. But I really want you to explore. I see some of my clients saying that, well, if I'm too self-confident, that comes across as arrogant. And I want you to keep like reflect on what is the difference between self-confidence and arrogance. And there is a big difference, but I want you to see it for yourself because when we are self-confident, it's never arrogant, or it's unless we are tipping over a certain thing. And I think I will do another episode on that. So that's why we'll not be talking about this one, but I will be talking about the first and the third one, so that you have an idea of how that's showing up for you currently. And if you see that that's what you're doing and how you're doing in the job interviews, then you know where it's all coming from which mindset, right? So when we have the mindset of I need them, right? Even if we're not saying it, even if, but we have this like background overall painting in our inner world that says I need them, then we eventually or immediately feel graspy or some version of needing. And that comes across very easily. Other people can smell it, in quotes, of course, right? But other people can sense it. They may not be able to say what it is, but they sense what's happening. So therefore, as soon as we are in this energy or in this feeling of graspy, this is what we tend to do. And I have done so many of them myself. That's why it's a very familiar situation that I'm describing. So this is from my own experience and experience of some of my clients. But you also check with yourself if your mindset is, oh my God, I really need this job, where we are in this desperate or needy, whatever the feeling that comes up. We tend to do a lot of things like this. We tend to look a lot of the time focusing on the other side, on the panel, on their mood, whether someone is nodding or not nodding, someone is agreeing with us or not agreeing. maybe they're hating us. If they're hating us, then I need to change my behavior, or I need to change things, what I say. We're so much focused on that, and we want to be liked by them as well. And then because we are in this energy of, oh my God, I need to get them liked at any cost, because them liking me is a guarantee, we believe, is for whether they will hire us or not, right? So therefore, we start then convincing them, and then we start juggling while like saying things at the same time, our brain wanting to go to the other side and thinking about the panel and how to be liked by them. So we're having lots of different things at the same time. And then we trip over, or we don't remember the things we want to say. Like one of my clients yesterday was saying that she feels like she's just swimming or trying to, like, I don't remember the word she used exactly, but I think it was similar to just like saying things, whatever comes up saying, because it just feels like, because of feeling so nervous and wanting to be liked by others and all of this, like, um lots of different thoughts coming up, we just want to be saying things, and we may not really like controlling what's the sequence of things, how we're saying it, what we're saying it, why we're saying it, right? And then we just keep feeling more nervous, feeling more judged. And yeah, as I said, we just say things that we believe they want to hear, and then we are so focused on them. So if you are doing any of these, that probably likely coming from this feeling of, I need this job so badly, or I need them to hire me, I need them to like me, whatever the thing of I need them, that will trickle down to our actions like this. And then things that we're not doing in those moments are, we're actually not really showing them the added value that we bring to the table, right? Why we think that what we're saying is important. We don't have the weight in the saying that we're in the words that we're saying. We don't really own our true capacity, or we don't really show that capacity that we actually have. And many of us are so good at it, but we don't tend to, or we are not good at then showing this because we're so focused on the other side. We're not really valuing our own experience and expertise, our valuing as a professional, and that part is not really coming across. And we are not really convinced, because we're trying to convince others so much, that we're not really like showing why we are convinced that we could be an excellent candidate for this job. And therefore, we don't own what we say. We just keep saying for the sake of saying it. And again, we're not trusting ourselves that we are going to handle it well and say the things that we actually prepared for to say. And we're not really trusting them that they're actually getting the things that we really want them to get. And then they are actually considering hiring us. Hence, they gave us the opportunity to present our case, right? So the result of this type of mindset is coming to then other people in the panel smelling or sensing that you're not really coming across as a convicted, like convicted in your own expertise, convicted or convinced, whichever the way you want to use it, in your own expertise, in your own value of what you bring. They can sense that you're not doing it because you are staying on the superficial level, or you're saying the things that you feel like they need to hear or they want to hear, without maybe really adding your own like variation of how to say things, right? And then they may also suspect why you are in this convincing energy. And as people, we are so attuned to sensing that. And then they may like think like, well, why does she have the, or she or he has a need to convince? Then there must be something wrong, and they may start thinking their own ideas about it, and then they don't really actually see your capacity of what you're capable of. And all of this mindset is coming from this belief that the power of decision is with them, and we feel powerless. And I believe that many of the times the problem starts here is because we feel like we're so powerless, or we feel like maybe we have little power of presenting and saying the things and the right things. But most of the time, we're so hung up on how the power is with them, and therefore we can't do much about it. And therefore, we don't really like show up in the convicted way. We don't really show our true value of what we can bring to the table, our expertise. We don't really say things in the way that we would have said if we really believe that they're actually wanting to hire us, right? Imagine how would you show up if you really believe they are wanting to hire you, they just want to formalize this interview, then how would you show up and what are the things you would say? Um, and then what I really see oftentimes is that we're not trusting ourselves or our value of what we're bringing to this work. And we're also coming from this, the mindset is created by this belief that we're just ready for anything. And this is also what we're discussing with one of my clients, is that she was saying that I haven't really decided, like I haven't really focused on where to go and what job to take because I'm just ready for anything. And when we feel like we're just ready for anything, maybe at some point in our career, again, we may do that, and we may say that, or we may be open for it. Excuse me. But at a certain point, we actually know what we want and what we don't want. And the only reason why we're not pursuing that is because we're believing that it's not going to happen, right? So what we really want is not going to happen. It's not possible. There are so many obstacles, and therefore let's just go for the easy solution, we believe. But what ends up then, unfortunately, happening is then we end up being in the job that we don't like for the next foreseeable future, in the situation where we don't want to, just because we said that we would be ready for anything because we believe that other ways are difficult. Now we actually put ourselves in a difficult situation by being in the places that we may not maybe even convinced that that's what we want, right? So therefore, when we are in this mindset of, oh, I'm just go for anything, anywhere, as long as someone takes me, then we're also not really convinced that that's exactly what we want. And therefore, because we're not convinced ourselves, then we're also not going to be able to say it to the others in the way that is convincing to others. So the alternative way of mindset that I really want to propose to you to work on and think about is, we could always approach job interviews from this mindset of, I want this job as much as they want me to hire. Why we don't work on this, or why we're not oftentimes in this space, right? Especially after having done like several years of experience, and my client that I keep talking about, she's been um like in this humanitarian world for I don't remember, but definitely more than 15 years, I think. And especially after that many years of experience, why we're not going to this place of, actually they want me as much as I want them, at least, right? Why we're not in this place? And this is, I would like for you to spend more time thinking about, because a lot of the times we just don't spend time like thinking about what is my mindset behind what I'm doing in this job interview and how I'm doing it, right? Why or how I want to approach this job interview, instead of just like giving in to our scarcity or our fear of, oh my God, I have to find a job. And of course, I'm not saying that it's applicable to everyone. There are always people who just need to get a job because of their circumstantial situations. And I understand. But for most of us, especially we have done so many years of humanitarian work, then why haven't we still gotten to this place of, actually, I know what I'm doing. I know why I want this job. And I also believe that they want me as well to this work because I'm such a qualified, or because I'm this and this and reasons why we're not there. And that's what I want you to explore and understand for yourself, why you haven't applied this mindset yet. If you haven't, if you have, amazing. I would love to know what your results are or how you can tweak this in the way that serves you. Because what this mindset does is that it balances the power, and that's the key part here, is that instead of believing the power is only with them, meaning that they are the ones who are like gods in this moment who are deciding over me, right? Instead of believing that, we are coming to this table as partners or as people who actually also have the power to decide what to do with it or whether to take it or not or consider and all of these things, and therefore making the interview uh like a bit like a power balanced approach. And of course it may not always be like equal or in equal partnership, right? But at least in your mindset, in your way of you feel, the way you show up will feel like you know what you're talking about, you know what your values are, or yes, your values and how you value your expertise, and you know what you can bring to this place, to this team, how you can contribute, and you have thought these through, and therefore you are ready to explain or you're ready to show them why you are their person. The reason why we believe that maybe this is not easy is because we just give in to the easy solution, we believe, right? Which is not an easy solution, we always know. But also because we believe that in order to get here, it must be a lot of work. But that's the best work you can do, is working on how you can currently trust yourself and your expertise, or where are you not doing that? How you can actually value your experience and expertise. Why are you not valuing them? What is standing in the way? And getting curious about that. Because once you really feel like how good your skills are, or how good you are in this particular thing, or how good you can actually contribute to this because you know exactly what to do and how to be of service, once you know this in your core, then it will become so much more easier to say things in the way that you really want to say because you know what you're talking about. You have this feeling that you know what you're talking about and why what you're saying makes sense. And also that will give you this convinced that like you are convinced in your own expertise, you are convinced in what you bring and how you bring it. And also you also are convinced why you want this job, right? Why you would be a good fit and why you want this job. And what this will also require you to trust others that they will get the messages from what you're saying because they can sense how convinced you are in what you're saying. They can sense how you are like all of your trust and value, that how much you value will like seep out. They will sense that this is how this is coming across. They will sense with every word. It's like all the energy behind the words. It's like another way of looking at it is all the tone and all the ways that you're saying and how they are structuring it, they will all come through. And then you trust them, they're getting what you want them to get, and then not try to focus on them or try to control their feelings or try to read their feelings, but just focusing on what you want to say and how you want to say it. And that way you will make this job interview as a place for both sides to make a decision instead of, oh my God, I have to get this job kind of thing. And this will like release some of the tension as well, right? And then you go to the interview, as we said, right? Knowing what you're, knowing why you are there, you knowing what you're going to say and how you're going to say it and why are you going to say it. And like you will expect several questions from of what roughly they will be, and you will also think about what they want to hear, but also focusing on mainly why you could be the candidate. and also why they should hire you, or why they should consider you over others. And then you tell them from this convinced, trusting place that you are the person. And even if you're not going to say things exactly right, or like make mistakes or whatever, but your conviction comes through like a light. Like, I don't know, like because you're so convinced and so much wanting to bring that value, or wanting to bring that contribution, wanting to work there because of these reasons, then they will sense this, even if you make some mistakes. And making mistakes or feeling nervous is just part of the interview, and I wouldn't even like worry about them. And then at the same time, having this feeling also that you will be okay if they don't hire you, because you are convinced again of your expertise, of your experience, that you will be able to find another job in case this one doesn't work. And that way you give yourself a freedom of, or like this feeling of, you've got this, you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and you will also be okay if they don't hire you, and that will give you this sense of you focusing on what's important in that moment, and then trusting that others will see all the things of what you're saying. Okay, so my dears, when you see this alternative, you can see that there are certain elements that you can work on, but what's most important is that whenever we have this like within us, this feeling of, oh my god, it doesn't depend on me, right, or it totally depends on them, then we feel powerless, and that influences a lot of what we say and how we say it. And that's what I'm really saying, to avoid it if you can, and therefore focus on how much you actually have the power to say the things, to present what you want to present, to showcase your expertise, to showcase your wisdom, your perspective on things. And doing that will give you so much more energy that you then, after job interview, even if you didn't get it, or even if it wasn't clear what the result is, you have this feeling of, I have done my best. I have shown of what I'm capable of, and I have shown how I could help them. And now I can trust that others, the panel will then decide on what they want to decide. But if they don't, then if they decide not to, then I will go somewhere else, because I know what I'm capable of, and I know why I want this job, and I know why and how I could contribute to that. And that's the work worth doing, because that will not take a long time, but the dividends of it, or the outcome consequences of it, is so much huge for your future forever. And that will be also so beneficial for other parts of your area, not only for job interviews specifically. That's why I would love to invite you to coach with me, to get your mindset to this place of where you also have the say in the process as much as them, and really truly showing what you're capable of. Have an amazing weekend, everyone, and I will speak to you very soon. Thank you. Bye.